think the honorable thing for our species to do is deny our programming. Stop reproducing. Walk hand in hand into extinction. One last midnight, brothers and sisters opting out of a raw deal.
Do not trust any friends or family members. I repeat, do not trust friends.
Sorry?
Oh, yeah. Someone set themselves on fire today. I don't know. Like, okay, so it's not as if, and it's not like one of those, I've gathered that it's not one of those assholes who was protesting the fact that racist grandpa is being prosecuted for criminal activities. Finally, it's about time.
Okay, yeah.
It is a protest. He held up signs or something to that effect. It's just like Trump is in on it. Him and Biden are going to enact a fascist coup or something like that. Like he's operating on some sort of different level, like super conspiratorial. And I don't know why he set himself on fire. I guess it's to draw attention to this message that he has. I didn't think it would be that. And strangely, I was happy that it was, because I really didn't want someone to have actually martyred themselves outside of racist grandpa's trial. That would
Did
have
he
been.
die?
Oh, I don't know the answer to that. They took him to the hospital, so I think he's unfortunately.
I'm going to tell you a little fucking secret.
Yeah.
I don't know a lot about a lot of things,
Uh-huh.
but if you set yourself on fire, it's hard to come back from.
Yeah, I guess it depends on how he did it and like the extent of the fire. But like he wanted to die.
There's not a good way to do it.
Yeah, no. I guess the old fucking barrel of gasoline all over your body, like make
I
sure.
think surviving's actually like a bad scenario.
It is, yeah. I think out of respect for the gentleman's gesture, they ought to have let him burn. And that, like, not out of no ill will whatsoever. Like the guy clearly wanted to die. He set himself. It's like it's one of those situations where it's a form of suicide in which or attempted suicide in which you burn the bridge behind you. No pun intended. Like there's no going back.
Kind of like hanging yourself, breaking your neck, and surviving.
Yeah.
It's like, this isn't great. This is not what I intended.
Yeah, like I very clearly wanted to just go, and I gave it the old effort, and it wasn't a cry for help. it was a gesture. It was a cry into the wilderness.
Right. It was a committed effort.
Yeah.
Fuck. Well, a
little surprised.
Don't know how to feel about it. Yeah.
It's always weird to me when people set themselves on fire it's a protest. It happens. It must happen. I don't want to say it happens daily on planet Earth, but it's possible that it could happen daily.
Suicide protests is just like an interesting thing, especially if you're not like the only form of suicide protest that I can understand a motive behind is like sort of a murder suicide scenario where like I'm going to do this, I'm going to take a stand, I'm going to make a point, I'm going to make the news, I'm going to pump up the talk behind my cause, and I'm going to kill a bunch of people than myself. I can understand that. At least I can understand the direction of it and what it's bringing to the table. Just killing yourself only? That's odd. Unless it's accompanied by something.
It's the least selfish version of what we're describing. Like what you just described is like, it is supremely, and I'm not saying you're endorsing it, but like that, like those people.
I don't endorse any types of murder suicides. Just maybe we should put the stamp on that now.
Yeah. But it is like, it's extremely selfish to, like, in order to get my message across, I'm gonna like fucking murder a bunch of people and leave a manifesto behind for someone to, like, that's pretty evil. I can go on.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But I'm saying, like, I think my understanding of the power behind that is more clear. But I guess maybe is a better way to phrase it. But just killing yourself, unless you do it sort of in an Ed Piskor kind of way.
Oh, yeah. Well, we can get to that. We're gonna hang on to your seats, ladies and gentlemen. There's an Ed Piskor episode coming up. The funny thing is, many of our audience members are just gonna be like, Ed who? Because who the fuck knows who this guy is? And
I don't know, man. I feel like there's some comic people out there that probably know.
Yeah,
Or
Well,
probably.
it made the rounds. Anyway, we're gonna next week. Speaking of which, this week you and I were supposed to talk about Samurai, the Bounty Hunter trilogy, which had just been re-released from Radiance Films, and but my week turned it into a shit show, and I gather your week kind of turned into a shit show. So,
well, it's not. I don't know about our audience here, but if you have other people in your household, friends, boyfriends, girlfriends, all kinds of people, children, whatever you think you've got going on, spouses of some type, putting on an old samurai movie isn't as easy as it seems.
It's true. Particularly one of this caliber, because it's not one of the fancy ones, it's one of the weird ones. Or kind of it's of the late 60s. So what we did instead is we pivoted over to something that's also from the late 60s, but easier to digest. And who do we have to thank for this, James? We have to thank the billionaires over at Dollarama. Here in
Are they billionaires?
Yeah, I went down a rabbit hole reading about the history of Dollarama, and I ended up looking at the history of Byway. And
yeah, man, Byway is fucking sweet.
They have 14 over. It says here over 1,500 stores, but I think it's 1,500 stores throughout Canada. They're based out of Quebec. $5 billion in revenue, net income $1.19 billion in 2023. Anyway, for anyone who doesn't, basically it's exactly what it sounds like. It's a store that sells things for $1, between $1 and $5.
Yeah. Their max price in the store is $5 per item, but I would say a vast majority of the store is $5 now, which is a give and take because there are higher quality items in the store than there previously were in some cases. Yeah. However, the majority of the store is $5 now per item. So it's not exactly like a fucking bargain bin. Mind you, going to the grocery store in Canada now, a deal for chips, I believe, is 2 for $9 for bags of chips. And they still are $3.50 at the Dollarama, which apparently is a deal.
Okay. Well, on that apocalyptic note,
that is an apocalyptic note. Like from a potato chip standpoint, is just a snapshot of Canada.
Yeah. But over at the Dollarama for $4, 4 buckaroonies, 4 loonies, you can get Crisis on Multiple Earths Volume 2.
It's probably
well, this one, I got a $4 bill on the
what?
On the back of mine, yeah.
Fuck.
So yours was probably $5, but that's just.
I got gypped.
Yeah, that sucks. So these books, okay. So the beauty of going to the Dollarama and is to check out their $5 or $4 comics or $5 comics or whatever, and they've got all sorts of trade paperbacks. Most of it's utter trash. Some of it's you get some really good shit in there, and. In this instance, I got actually Volume 4 as well from my Dollarama, but this is Volume 2, and it collects crossover stories between the Justice League of America and the Justice Society of America from 1967 through to 1970. And if you didn't, it's one of those collections where you didn't realize you needed this. For me, anyway.
But I did. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is a great thing too, and this is to throw some heat back down the Dollarama hallway too. They're still actually to this day accumulating trade paperbacks of Marvel and DC comics. Not as much as there was a hot point. about a year ago, where there's a lot of stuff in there you could get. It's quieted down a little bit, but yeah, like these are graphic novels that you would have to go and pay 20, 30, 40 bucks for. That we were kind of digging up, and the fun part was across Canada they were comparable. Like the stock seemed to be the same. I don't know if it was like overprints or whatever, so you could actually correspond and all go buy the same book. So yeah,
and there's even a Facebook page group dedicated to such people. There's 140 other of our brothers and sisters out there, mostly brothers, I'm sure. Who just shop the Dollarama looking for that rare bird and taking it home, putting it in the cage. This one, we decided we were going to read Justice League of America 73 and 74 from August to September 1969. One of the reasons I selected this was because it was written by Denny O'Neil, and I always, I'm so happy to have an opportunity to talk about Denny O'Neil back in the heyday. Like, this is about when he's about to get famous, doing Batman and doing Green Arrow and that kind of thing. And so this is like he's ramping up. And then we got art by Dick Dillon and Sid Green doing the inks. And Dick Dillon had just started working on JLA at this time. He had previously done Blackhawks. And I was so charmed by some of these images in this. It's both childish, but also like a little racy, or like a little. Well, obviously we can talk about the innuendo and imagery or whatever, but like it's childish, but at the same time there's some sort of like experimentalism to it.
there's a bit of like I don't know. It's a little. It's like you say. It's a little. There's a little voyeur action. It's a little sexy. It's a little. Some of the poses and moves are a little off. Some of the dialogue's a little off. Some of it's just. It's honestly is like it takes the skirt around risky.
Yeah. Well, it's trying to be fun, like I guess like these comics, like everything you just kind of described it, like that amounts to fun. That's how you get fun out of a superhero comic. Like you have different styles of doing that, but he's doing something that we could recognize. What do you think of the comparison to we'll get to the story in a minute, which is fucking stupid, but back to the art. When you're looking at old Dick Dillon here, I saw a little bit of, I'm not saying there's a direct relationship, but in the faces, like these are Chris Weston faces. I'm not sure if you can see it or if you know what I'm talking about, but every once in a while you're like, fuck, Chris Weston drew that. I'm absolutely certain of it. And
I love that Joe Kubert cover. Superman's face is just outstanding.
With the sorry, how do we describe it? He looks shocked, but also like of shadows under his eyes. Like he's just like he's got the 1,000-yard stare. Like some kids ripping out a lamppost. Superheroes, big deal. I can do as good as any of you, even better. And they're just standing there, fucking dumbfounded.
Yeah, that was a great scene as well, like deeper in the book. But yeah, I don't know. The artwork in this was, I don't know. It was fun. I didn't like. It, like if you do a quick flip through, you'd probably be like, okay, that looks like total shit. It looks like a fucking bad Dick Tracy book. But when you're actually reading it and going through and just like taking in the way these guys are putting the way, I don't know, the way that Dick Dillon's doing the like the female form and stuff, you really get charmed. You really follow along. Like I don't know, it was like almost like I'm trying to think of the word, like a burlesque type of vibe that he drops in there a bit.
Yeah, I like that. I think that's kind of that's appropriate. So one of the things that Denny O'Neil, and I don't think we see it in this. Okay, so he's known as a bit of a hippie because he, or at least like a liberal in superhero comics. Like he was the original woke guy. But back when so he had when he was doing green, he did a lot of environmentalist themes in his JLA run. I remember some story about like the world's going to end due to pollution, that kind of thing.
Ooh.
He's got obviously the Green Arrow run where Speedy, does the drugs, and then his Green Arrow, Green Lantern run where that black guy's like, how come you're not representing black people? And it's all very, reading back to it now, it's fucking stupid. It rings pretty fucking dumb. But he's trying to bring some of these themes into it, and he's trying to write a little bit more adult, a little bit more Marvel is maybe what's going on here. Like, he was a crime reporter prior to this. I gather he's really into pulp fiction. And that's why he ends up doing Batman and stuff later, and him and Neil Adams kind of bring Batman back, from its goofy roots. No, back from its goofy side turn and back to its like kind of darker roots is how it's understood. So anyway,
Okay.
I don't know if any of that like comes across in any of this. I really don't think so. I think a story in which the Justice League of America crosses over with the Justice Society of America in order to fight a living star being called Aquarius.
It's a fucking genie.
Yeah, right?
It was a stupid space genie.
Yeah.
It had no like let's be flat here. There's no plot. This was a space genie. He stole magic dildo. And
Man.
and that like basically like animated him into the Aladdin genie.
Mm-hmm.
And then he, I don't know, whatever, he acted like a goofball until the tornado went into another dimension to get the Justice League to help.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, that's it. And then the Justice League manages, spoilers, they beat the genie by the stupidest means possible.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know, like I want to think that there's something deeper at play in this book. I'm hopeful that through conversation, like a deeper reading is going to emerge, because like there's two things to note that you've already noted, and like throughout this book, there's a lot of sexual imagery. Like,
yeah, we talked about that on the side.
Yeah, and like some of the images I'm going to share, I think the audience deserves to see. There's one scene where Black Canary in her fishnet stockings or whatever, actually. Is that what? Yeah.
Yeah,
It's just covered in goo, like sticky goo all over the place, and it's just very sexual.
Yeah, even her getting dressed really like. She immediately gets dressed into her Black Canary costume so she can start like going fighting.
Yeah.
But it's just like there's like a sort of a flare around her, just like putting her boots and her fishnets on. It's fucking hot. It's great.
No, yeah. Like it's a pinup. Like it's the original sort of like cheesecake pinup. And she's like this state, like they show her what she looks like normally, and she's like serving hamburgers and coffee to her husband, or Starman or something like that. And she's wearing like kind of a, I wouldn't say a frumpy dress, but I mean like it's not elegant by any stretch. And
I like how her husband calls her baby constantly too.
Yeah, but take it careful, baby.
Yeah, he's a real fucking.
Lance,
like a Cagney type of guy or whatever. Lance.
Yeah, Lance.
And there's also a scene right when the genie is like, when Starman's sort of taking on the genie too, and he's got his head like arched all the way back, and he's holding his magic dildo.
Yeah, that's
and he's fucking just beaming penis energy at this genie. It's very bizarre. And then he is emasculated and smashed through a table.
Yeah. Yeah, he takes his penis from him and like.
That's right, and then and then empowers itself with it.
Oh my goodness! Wow. Okay, so there's that happening. We've got those sort of undertones in this, and I think that like anyone reading this who has a childish mind will see exactly what we're talking about.
I just don't know that they're undertones.
Well, here's the next thing I want to say is like, okay, the choice of the term Aquarius struck me as really weird because like the musical Hair, I've never seen it, but I know that track, the age of Aquarius, it's always associated with hippies. And when did that? I wrote it down, but I think that song dropped in 1967 or something like that. And that, like this concept of the age of Aquarius, what like amongst new age hippie shitheads, I think this was a thing. And so there's a way of reading this as well, that like it's the Justice League of America has to team up with the Justice Society of America or vice versa in order to fight the revolutionary energy, the delinquent revolutionary energy of the new age hippies. I don't know how to fit that into any of this. Like it's a very heady.
I like that.
Yeah, because this guy's like the Blue Genie. Like I love Superman in this. Like the Blue Genie's sort of ranting and raving, and like they're thinking of him as a villain, and Superman shows up and he's just like, from what my super hearing has picked up, I'll judge he's more sick than villainous. I think that's really a good, nice little encapsulation of how, like, Superman doesn't look at you as a villain if you're not a villain. Like if you're sick, he's gonna.
Also, Superman looks at hippies as being mentally ill.
I think so. Like, well, yeah, the delinquent elements of it. These like the punks. Like what we would later call the punks, or I guess the greasers. I don't know what the fuck's going on in the 60s. But yeah, he's this genie guy, and we'll talk about how he's depicted in a moment because I really like it.
I really didn't like it.
Oh, no kidding, huh? Like even okay, well, just
that's fine.
He's depicted as bipolar, essentially. He's ecstatic, and then he's depressed, and then he's just really out of control.
Yeah, he's like your Libra girlfriend.
Yeah, there we go.
A little astrology joke for everyone.
Yeah.
A lot of phallic imagery too. A lot of like everyone's weapon just becomes just like a big unit. Like Green Lantern here has just got this big fucking claymore that he's just swinging around like a dork. Also, Denny O'Neil, don't know if you picked this up, big judo fan. Big judo guy.
Yeah. Okay, so this is he's also writing Wonder Woman at this time, and like she's suddenly turned into like a martial arts lady, judo lady. And I think Robert Kanigher earlier as well, who was earlier writing, or maybe it was Gardner Fox or Fox Gardner. Anyway, there's judo. Judo shows up in the Justice League and in comics generally. I don't know if it's just Denny O'Neil. I think that's what they went to at that time. Like, I'm the fucking judo throw.
Yeah, I don't know. Who knows? Maybe it was being like Americanized at the time, and
I think so.
The clubs were fun or whatever.
Yeah. I'm not quite sure. But I don't think it comes from Denny. I think it's just kind of a convention at the time. If I had to guess, Gardner Fox or Fox Gardner, I always get it fucking mixed up. The guy writing this, Gardner Fox, prior to this, he has Batman in one of the comics that I read. He does a judo throw, but he names it correctly.
Oh, jeez.
Well, I don't know if it was named correctly, but he drops like what could be a proper name for what he did. I forget the move. So, maybe it just starts with one guy who was actually into it and had a legitimate sort of interest, and then everybody kind of copied that, but I'm not sure. Yeah. I was looking over to see how much we have talked about the Justice League in the past.
Have we talked about the Justice League a lot?
Well, I think so. I think it's come up a lot, but like maybe you feel this, like I'm inferring that you feel the same way, in that like I think we've never actually like talked about the Justice League as a concept, and definitely not the Justice Society of America, which I don't know what your feelings are about that. Like, how are you taking this actually? Because you're not a big DC head in the way that I'm not a big DC head, but I make a point of like reading the old comics and getting a sense of this, that, and the other thing. And
no, Wonder Woman's outfit's fantastic in this rendition. I don't like DC. I I like the Justice Society even less than I like the Justice League.
Yeah.
I don't know what they're doing. This is going to be a real cockamamie explanation.
Sure.
I find there is less characterization, especially in early DC, and more of a focus on like a kooky team fucking solving a problem. It's very Scooby-Doo-ish to me. And it's like, this guy's got great powers. This babe's got great fighting skills. This guy's got the green ring. This guy, it's like not there's nothing there. It's all surface slosh, and it's just like some kooky colors, a wacky team, and then there's just like a fucking wacky scenario happening. And that's just like, to me, that's just how the Justice League's plated, where like the severity of even like the severity of an X-Men story, even in this timeline, was better. There were there are stakes, there are things happening, there are home lives, there's no attempt at that in a lot of the stuff I've read. I'm sure I can be swayed that I'm just an asshole, and my DC depth is shallow, which is fair. But generally, that's my overall wash on it, and I don't find a lot of depth in it until like later Batman stuff. And I am a big Batman fan, but Superman's never been my cuppa. I don't know.
Yeah, I think that I think everything you're saying is like fucking spot on, legit. Like Marvel at this time is killing it. And like they're telling stories where people have personalities, and they're doing a soap opera. Marvel is very good at a soap opera where everybody feels bad about themselves. And the DC at this time, like they're not interested in any soap opera elements. It's all sort of high theater and boring scenarios. Like one of the things that people comment about this run is that like someone dies in this story. And
that's right. Fucking Lance.
This guy, Lance dies in this story.
Lance actually gets a formal burial in the 2 issues.
Yeah, like within a page or so. Superman sings a hymn to him.
Oh fuck that. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and even how it's written. So like I said, Denny's trying to capture some of that. Like he's trying to bring some of it and like layer it on top of the goofy shit that you're talking about, and like, and it doesn't succeed in overcoming the goofy shit, but like you can see the effort. Like some of these children laugh, men argue, people go about their routine business, unaware of how close they came to ultimate extinction. 60 seconds, a large world is saved, and a small world, a private world of love and devotion ends forever. It's 3 silent panels, and she gets fucking up.
It's true. There were like, I don't want to shit on this because I really enjoyed this story, and there was severity. Like if there wasn't like a big goofy ass genie, it would have been felt a little more severe. But like he basically put their world into extinction. And Dr. Fate kept them alive inside of bubbles. That's very severe. That was heavy handed. And then the what do they call this guy? The Red Tornado?
Red Tornado, yeah.
I don't know why I want to fucking call him the Texas Tornado. The Red Tornado here. He's unleashed. He saves. He goes and he talks to fucking Batman and the real Justice League. They intervene, and there's also a great scene associated with that death too, where I think the 2 Green Lanterns talk to each other. Where he goes like, what does he say? He says sometimes we forget our reason for existing. We're only good for one thing, to keep that from happening. And he's fucking Lance's corpse is fucking laid out with Black Canary shaking like a leaf. And I was like, oh man, that's excellent. That was heavy. That was excellent. Yeah. And then it turns into this, into thy hands we commend his spirit. And Superman's fucking weeping, and it just looks absolutely mental. And then this genie comes out and basically like steps his cock right over top of the building and starts fucking calling them puny mortals, and it just becomes a cockamamie shit show again instantly. So it's just, I don't know what we're trying to get. Like, I mean, I guess the genie's kind of manic here too, so I know that he's trying to give us a lot and work around it, and it was a really fun story. It was interesting for sure, but yeah, the heaviness that he tried to layer in didn't cook long enough for me.
No, it would have needed more. And you're right. Like, so getting back to the depiction of the genie, like it's he uses a Dick Dillon. So he's drawing in your regular sort of 4-color art style, but the genie's depicted in like I don't even know how they drew this. Like, it looks like charcoal outlines. Obviously it wasn't, but I just don't know how they're getting this effect with inks. Like, it's pretty crazy.
Yeah, I know what you mean. He's almost there's almost like a transparency to the line work. It's like sort of peppered, like he's almost like static. Like the illusion of static, almost like that he's sort of there but not there.
Yeah, like a stamp that the ink wasn't strong enough to make the full impression, so there's gaps in the black. And it's it really stands out. And then that one moment where he like destroys the world or whatever, and it's like the entire world becomes that sort of static, only in black, and it's illustrated much more naturalistically. Like, there's a real ability behind this guy. Like, he's choosing to draw like a fucking asshole day after day, like drawing these superhero stories the way they're being drawn. But he's more than capable.
Oh yeah, his expressions are excellent. His posture, his anatomy, his action. I mean, and he has like, I'm sorry, I'll always say this when you're dealing specifically, and this is like, I mean, I'm sure this goes for a lot of superhero groups, but when you're dealing with the Justice League also, there's a wacky amount of powers, first of all, and secondly, like, different like transit methods for the characters. Like, people can fly, people have super speed, people shoot arrows with fucking sticky goo in them, people fucking can do anything, right?
Yep.
So it's when you have to communicate that, and you also have to give like onus on power sets and also create like action sequences, like I can only respect it, when this kind of effort's put into it.
In the front matter, they, just to add to the accolades that we're just hoisting upon Dick Dillon, greatest artist. He one of the reasons he got the job is because like he's very good at like keeping track of everybody's costume and making sure that that it's on model, which is much harder than it's got to be hard. It's got to be an important part of the job, like one of those like unspoken skills. That some people can be really good comics illustrators, but like they can't do superheroes because they can't keep track of the costumes. But he stayed on model. That was one of the reasons they selected him. And yeah, I think even the coloring on this is excellent. Like, I'm looking at one scene.
Really?
And I think Dr. Fate is trying to zap. He's been mind controlled or whatever, so he's trying to zap the Flash. And the way that Flash's motion is depicted is like a series of, like sort of a snake of bodies in different positions. It's got that a similar effect to how he illustrates Genie, Aquarius, and it's colored like the background is red, but the red of the Flash is a little lighter, and it pops against the yellow. And the way that Dr. Fate's ink, there's shadows and stuff, and it's just like, you can see the lightning bolt on it, even though it looks fucking stupid. Everything, like lighting does the job there. Like, everyone's doing it. It's a good industrial line. Like, I don't think they're putting out a good product, but you kind of got to, like, it's like a chair that it's very uncomfortable to sit in, but you really appreciate the woodwork.
That's great.
Something like,
It's true. The coloring is actually weirdly just smooth, perfect, and vibrant also throughout, which is odd. It's on terrible paper. This trade paperback version. it's yeah, definitely a funny. I'm just looking at the funeral and the freak out from Black Canary, and how even that, like, okay, like I gotta read this just quick. This is for the agenda, for the fans, for everyone.
Yeah.
Just above Black Canary's head, the shaft snaps open and rains down gossamer strands. Wait, sorry?
Yeah.
There's no way to misinterpret that. There's no even if you don't have a childish mind, you can just snap the shaft and spray those strands on Black Canary. You know, there's nothing you can do with that.
It's the Stickum shaft too. The Stickum shaft has earned itself a permanent place in my quiver. It's like,
yeah, that's right. Yeah. And then he sees her like pinned down, covered in fucking goo, and even they even miscolored a spot. It's like jizz right by the side of her leg.
Oh my goodness!
And she's spread eagle there, so some of it's goo, some of it might be, you know, some Green Arrow action. We don't know what's happening here.
Yeah.
And just kidding. But anyway, well, no. there's nothing to like overtly imply rape or anything, but it's there's an undertone that like he would definitely use this in the future to pin down women.
And I don't know, just like, okay, let's assume that, you know, at the very least, let's just say it's infidelity or something like that, because they do have a relationship later. Like the Green Arrow Black Canary relationship is something that will emerge, and like, is this the secret origin of it? Is this the moment?
This is it. And he's chivalrous. Yeah. We're gonna give him the benefit of the doubt. He's gonna consensually use the sticky arrow to stick you to the floor immobile.
But like Lance's comes up behind. Lance is the husband at this time from Earth 2. Zoc punches him in the back of the head.
You get a fucking brainstem shot for that one, buddy. Which actually comes straight after the jizz scene, which is a little suspect.
Immediately after, and then he, like, what's he gonna do? He picks up Green Arrow's like arrow. Is he about to like counter penetrate Green Arrow in response to the defilement of his wife? Like, and these are all the actions that lead explicitly to the husband's death.
Yeah, it's true. Lance is holding the fucking bow and arrow. He's got an arrow fucking loose. Lance is very capable, by the way. Holy shit.
He really is, yeah.
And the Green Arrow is there's no way to misinterpret this. He's face down. He's ready to get it.
Oh boy.
He's going to snap the shaft and rain down the gossamer on the face down Green Arrow.
Yikes. But he doesn't get a chance to, because he's got to save his wife from...
That's right. From a
fireball? Ball? Yeah, it comes from the genie.
Like a sort of a genie nut's coming for her while she's fucking glued down to the ground, just squirming for her life.
Yeah.
I'm selling this to myself now at this point. Lance dives in the way, dies which I can only assume would be a grotesque death.
I think so. Yeah, like he's every element of him must be broken. Like it's a testament to Dick Dillon's restraint that we don't see broken bones. He just kind of lays there flat, but you can assume that it went very badly. I'm not quite sure how he saved her, to be honest. Something about his body just interacting with the nut sack that was about to like go between his wife's lips. just causes a lightning bolt that just destroys him.
The best scene, like one of my favorite panels too, is when he's sort of leaping. Lance leaps. He leaps in front of it, and her knees are up, like she's like in the birth giving position, like this fucking nutsack's just rolling right for it.
My goodness, I kind of they brought back Larry. They brought him back as Kurt Lance back in 2011.
What? They changed his name?
Yeah, what the fuck did you, Larry Lance, man? It's like Kurt, you know, like I was gonna say Kurt Cobain. It's like Kurt Cobain. It's like Clark Kent, or you know, like fucking whatever. These people, they don't know what they have.
The weirdest is the doe-eyed, like stunned look on Black Canary's face, and she's covered in the fucking goo. She's just shocked.
Yeah, right? Yeah. Can't believe it happened. But the world's brought back, and So when the way that they beat this genie, okay, so this is a crossover between Earth 1 and Earth 2. So this is
Yes.
also pre-Crisis on Infinite Earths and all that shit. So this is the original Infinite Earth kind of story. Everything that's wrong with DC Comics kind of starts with these Crisis crossovers. They're not even called crises at this point. The way that they defeat the genie is there's an antimatter gap between there's the two worlds, and you can with your magic ring, if you're Green Lantern, you can create a portal between the two worlds, but around that portal is nothingness, antimatter. So what they do is they banish the genie to the nether spaces between universes outside of fiction, and destroy him there, or outside of reality, I guess, as they would understand it.
In the Green Lantern too, they sort of sampled that area and gave a bit of a rundown on it earlier in the book too.
Yes, yeah, and they're like, can our rings create negative matter? And so they managed to go in there. They sneak him in, and he implodes.
Well, hang on.
Mm-hmm.
That's when the boys get together. They they charge up their rings together. Yeah. Basically, they both they share sort of a Green Lantern charge up, and then that's when is this Hal?
Yeah, it's Hal.
Hal says, "I'll rise to the occasion," and the two of them rise these giant green shafts.
They're bullhorns. See, they're meant to be like megaphones or whatever. But
are they?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, because they're yelling through them, right? They're like Aquarius. They're trying to get his attention, but I'm still with you.
That's not how I read them.
Well, it's easy to read it how you read it.
Yeah, I didn't see that. Oh, I feel silly now. But anyway, they rise to the occasion, erect two giant green shafts, and then they pummel this genie with their giant green shafts, and then cause a giant meteor fallout. He explodes into nothingness. It's actually sort of anticlimactic a bit.
Yeah, because they're left to do it because everybody's stuck in some sort of stasis, and they're like, don't worry about it. We're gonna they kind of there's a way in which they've decided to go on a suicide mission together, in order to get this done. Everybody's safe. Just go do it.
I kind of imagine it as two bros crossing their giant green shafts and sort of ending with a giant explosion of release.
Oh, and that is what happens. They're
there's no way to mask what happens here. That's what it is.
I mean, they're wearing masks, but we know the truth.
Okay. And I mean, and that leads to inevitably the happy ending where Black Canary decides she needs to go to Earth 1.
Mm-hmm.
And she says, I'd like to come with you if I may. And Superman says, of course, come. And welcome to Earth 1.
Yeah, there's an ellipses. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thus, a lovely woman seeks to soothe her torment in another place. And
Superman has her come.
Yeah. To Earth 1. No.
She comes and
she's
to Earth 1.
I see. Right.
Both.
He looks like a dingbat. I don't like the look of this Superman. He's
got a real hand in it. Really, it's all gone sideways. Is what's happened here. Yeah. I really felt this one. I don't know. This is a lot of sexual innuendos, a lot of gay innuendos, a lot of bondage, a real fun time.
Yeah.
Just I don't know.
And tying into it, so let's see if we can. Within all of that, so the ultimate, the purpose of this story is for Black Canary to have her husband, basically to become divorced, and she becomes divorced as a consequence, or she becomes a widower, I guess, as a consequence of the delinquent energy of the youth and the hippies, who pose a threat to classic American heroes, like the Justice Society of America. So this delinquent
Right.
energy, like it completely destroys the classics, and it has to be saved. But I don't know. Like my analysis is like my summary's kind of falling apart. Like so it's worried about like traditional families, or what it wants to break up traditional families, and the good wife and the good husband and all that stuff, and it's almost successful in doing so. But however, the virility of the Justice League of America, like modern heroes, modern men, is able to overcome that delinquent sexual energy of Aquarius, and reclaim the wife that has been unmoored from the control of the husband, and return her to her proper place amongst, I don't know, men, heroes or whatever. Like that's
She gets her proper role in the arms of Superman coming on Earth 1.
There we go. There it is.
Yeah.
And and she's going to end up with Green Arrow, right? Like this is the beginning, like that moment when he just like puts the stickum shaft on her is a formative moment in the DC universe. Like this whole thing.
Yeah.
What are you gonna do? Like,
it's perfect. It was perfect.
fucking. So yeah, I didn't I knew there was something in there. I don't like, again, that's all bullshit. It's just a stupid comic, but like it's also not bullshit. I challenge anyone to read this comic.
Yeah, you know what? You please, anyone. These can't be hard to access. If you want to just go treat yourself to the Crisis on Multiple Earths. The entire book really looks like it has some things that maybe we didn't get to explore also.
Yeah.
But yeah, those issues, like if you've got a different reading on that and you want to really pipe up, please let us have it. But I think that you'll be drawn into a very similar experience.
Yeah, and especially those amongst the Dollarama graphic novel collectors group who brought us together, and to whom we owe everything. We want to hear from you most of all.
Yeah, please. And I know you guys all have this book because it was it was in every Dollarama.
Now all we need is a little energon and a lot of luck.